Hi YouTube. It's been a while. I've been a bit busy. I've had some personal stuff, but I've also been waiting on replies from some of the letters slash emails I've been sending. So last time I spoke to you guys, I'd received replies from the office of the Lord Mayor, who I was pretty upset with, but also the Premier's office, and both officers had referred me off to the Department of Justice to the Attorney General, Ms. Yvette D'Ath's office. So they were forwarding on my correspondence to her office. However, I decided that I would email her directly because I had found out more information than from when I wrote to the Premier's office. And I received a reply from the Honourable Yvette D'Ath MP's office today from her Chief of Staff, replying to my email that went to the Premier. Now, what this gentleman who is her Chief of Staff has told me in this letter is that they're, hear my concerns, all of that stuff, and that the review at this time, the priority is not on management contracts. So the priority is on allowing the management companies to go more electronic. They're focusing on that. And they're focusing on the legislation that affects big business, that affects businesses, that affects real estate, that affects real estate developers and that sort of stuff, but they don't care about the end users. They don't even seem to care that the other states have already realised that these 25-year contracts are inequitable, and they're not even trying to come in line with the other states. So the impression that that gives me is that my first impression was quite correct, that the Queensland government is wooing developers, etc., for their strategy for the next however long they're in government to build their infrastructure and all of that sort of stuff. But let's have a look at the Commonwealth Games, which was very recently held on the Gold Coast. The businesses down there actually lost money. People stayed away from the area because they went on and on about parking restrictions and having to get permits and people just stayed away. Queenslanders just stayed away from that stuff. So the Commonwealth Games had reasonably good attendance, but local business, which is what they're always going on about, how it'll bring the tourism, and local business will benefit from these massive events where they build these massive stadiums and all this construction to house the athletes and all the rest of it, actually did nothing for local business on the Gold Coast. And I now hear that they're looking at putting in a bid for the Olympics because they've got some of the infrastructure there already. After the disaster that was the Commonwealth Games, I can't believe that Palaszczuk is even considering that, to be perfectly honest. Surely Queenslanders' money is better spent when we've just established that it did nothing for local business on the small scale. So why spend more money on a bigger scale for the Olympics? I just find that silly when you're not interested in what's actually affecting Queenslanders, unless they work for development companies, or better still, own them. So I still think that it is a bit of a conspiracy. It's all about Palaszczuk's development strategy. And so I replied to the email that I received from the Chief of Staff from her office. And I thanked him, of course, for his reply. But I pointed out that I had, since contacting the Premier's office, contacted her directly, and that I would like a reply to that email, please, that I sent directly to her. Because in that email, I have elaborated a lot more now that I understand a bit better about which branches of the government look after what stuff. And the fact of the matter is that the Body Corporate Management Company and the Commissioner for Body Corporate Services did not explain to me properly or in full what I was complaining about. And I think that that's part of the conspiracy, that nobody's telling the lot owners what's really going on. And it's not their job to educate the lot owners about the contracts, how they work, and that they don't have to just keep automatically renewing. It doesn't work like that. Whose job is it then to educate us on that? Because I really feel that people aren't being told this stuff. I've written to the president of our body corporate committee 2 weeks ago, a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, and I outlined in that letter that I felt that the body corporate management company had been negligent in not advising them they didn't have to renew for 25 years. I also pointed out the terms and conditions that we have talked about in previous videos that clearly state that the body corporate for Garden City approach can terminate the contract if they are unsatisfied with the delivery or the service. And I explained to them that that's all of the lot owners. So we can all get together and vote to cancel that contract. When we cancel that contract, I did explain to the president that that means that we would no longer have to pay him his caretaker salary of $560 a quarter. And I calculated what it would cost for us to hire an independent contractor to come and do gardening and, say, just light maintenance work like hammering in nails or replacing boards on the fence. And I reckon about $65 an hour would be a fair price. I reckon for a complex of our size, he'd only need to come for 3 hours a fortnight. Now, if we total all of that, if we total that up, and then for the whole quarter, and then split it per lot owner, it would be $74 a quarter for gardening maintenance versus $560 a quarter for gardening maintenance that isn't done properly, that is only half-assed done, because really he cuts hedges and mows lawns because it makes a lot of fucking noise. Sorry, supposed to be PG channel, but you know, he makes as much noise as he can with his power tools doing mowing and hedge cutting, so everybody notices that he's out there. But the weeds grow, there's trees, which we'll do another field trip soon, and we're going to do a field trip of the entire complex. There's trees that have grown way too high that need to be cut before some of these dying, dead, brittle hedges, and he does two things. So, you know, how is this a fair system if the other lot owners aren't educated? And I've had to do all this myself. I've had to educate myself about this. So, you know, at the moment I'm studying and I'm now waiting on a work placement and doing a change of career. So I've got some time on my hands to do this. But if I was still working full time, which I will be again soon, and I have a child and you have your regular, all your day-to-day activities and sport and netball and whatever, you don't have time to do the amount of research that I've just done to find all this stuff out. So if then they don't know this, they haven't done the research, they've been told, I don't know what, by the body corporate management company, but I would imagine that they're told that that's what happens. You just keep rolling these contracts over because that's the way it is. That's the way it's set up. They would believe the body corporate management company, I would imagine, rather than me, who I'm quite sure the president believes is just the annoying lady who lives across the way that keeps complaining about her partner parking in the visitor bay. Now, the reason that I continually complain about people parking where they shouldn't be parking is not because I care where they park necessarily. It's because I pay the on-site manager to police the parking under the bylaws. So since all of this started, I've decided that I am going to email him, the management company, and the committee every time I'm upset about something that goes on. Because unless you are so damn annoying that you get up in people's faces and don't let them a moment's peace until they stop and listen to you, I don't know how you get anything done in regards to this. At the moment, we have the facility to save ourselves a bunch of money and get a professional gardener in to increase our property values, because at the moment, seriously, if you told me that if I was a buyer and you told me what you had to pay and I looked at the state of that garden, I would be like, whoa, seriously? What a rip-off. So, what do I do? What does anybody do in this situation? They throw their hands up and they walk away. Well, no, not this little black duck. Ms. Yvette D'Ath, whatever, MP. I am not going to leave you alone until you personally tell me why I have to put up with this, when clearly it is a breach of contract under normal contract law. It's unlawful to take people's money under false pretenses. And thirdly, it's a violation of my financial rights under the Universal Declaration of Independence. So I'm going to wait and see if you reply, and I'm going to wait to see what you say, but understand that referring me back to the Body Corporate Commissioner is not going to help. Telling me that it's not a priority for you right now is not going to make me go away. So if I have to, I will drive to Redcliffe and I will sit in your office until somebody pays attention to the fact that at least 16 Queenslanders in this complex, whether they realise it or not, are being completely ripped off, and nobody cares. Nobody. So I'm just putting it out there that I am not going to stop until I get a satisfactory answer as to why I have to stay in this contract that is unlawful. So, in my email, I've invited you to come and have a look at my channel, and I've invited you to come and have a look at my complex, and I strongly encourage you to do that. Otherwise, I will become your most annoying nightmare ever. Trust me, I can be annoying as F. So, this is it, people. If there's anyone out there who sees this video on my Body Corporate webpage, on my Body Corporate Facebook page, or here on YouTube, that wants to help me stand up to this woman and say, no, you're not putting developers first, you're not putting real estate agents first, you are going to listen to the people that are suffering financially, and quite frankly, mentally. I suffer mentally over this because it is so perplexing to me how this can be legal and right and just. So anyone, comment, please. Join the group on the Facebook page. Tell me what you think. Tell me what's happening in your complex. I won't use names. I would just love more examples of more Queenslanders that are as frustrated as I am and have no one to support them. No one. Okay. Thank you as always for listening to my rant, if you listen.